Charlie Steele is a woman on a mission. That much should be clear. She is very much invested in the readiness of her squadron and the defense of her nation of Hollywood as a whole. It's much more than just wounded pride when a rival state's fighter ace talks down about her squadron's performance. Interestingly, there's an earlier short story that I'm not sure was finished, called First Knights, that dramatizes the founding and establishment of the Hollywood Knights Squadron as a viable defense for the former state of California. As of this story, Charlie Steele and the Knights have a reputation to uphold, and they're losing it. As luck would have it, such as it is written, on the day the Knights go to train and maintain their readiness, pirates attack. The squadron seems to come out of the raid little worse for wear, but given how completely the pirates had devastated the local supply of fighters on one of their airfields before they could intervene, Charlie is more than convinced they simply got lucky and have to adjust their operations to compensate and prepare for worse to come. The pirate threat is such that even one of her biggest sponsors and patrons, the famous Howard Hughes, personally advocates and supports her efforts to increase her squadron's attention to readiness and actively hunt down the pirate threat. Using her connections and state resources, Charlie takes on two tasks in sequence: convincing her squadron to take their roles and the stakes of state defense more seriously, and finding out where the latest pirate attack came from, and to stop them. Throughout the story, we've seen Charlie interacting with other characters in the settings of her privileged upbringing, her upscale home and high-end dining establishments, before we see her get down and dirty on her adventure. We see at least two sides to her character, one where she has to put on a brave, glamorous face for public scrutiny, and another where she is deeply invested in her role as protector of her world. Unlike the easy assumption of her as a spoiled heiress to her father's wealth, privileged to not exert herself to find success, Charlie explicitly takes charge of her story and finds people she can depend on to further her ends. To convince her squadron to take their roles as militia pilots more seriously, she hires a group of pilots to play the part of pirates and stage an incursion, where the squadron nearly loses one member, thus reminding them of the gravity of their position. Using those same pilots, posing as a new pirate group, the Blood Ravens, Charlie and company make their way to the Rocky Mountains and the infamous pirate city Skyhaven to infiltrate the community and find out their plans for future attacks on Hollywood. While this is going on, another perspective is shown, that of Nathan Zachary, leader of the Fortune Hunters. And he's spending time in Skyhaven, not just taking in the warm hospitality, but also doing his part to uphold the local pirate administration in Carl Regan. It was one of his airships that attacked Hollywood and was later stolen by Charlie and company, so he wants it back and wants Nathan's help to do it. We find out later Nathan doesn't particularly like Regan, only respecting him up to a point, but by story's end, when Regan's airship is destroyed and his power expected to weaken, Nathan expects this to be a good thing for everyone in Skyhaven. The paths of Charlie Steele and Nathan Zachary intersect twice, once outside a party when Charlie seeks some respite, and again in Skyhaven, in the middle of Charlie's infiltration. What Charlie has the opportunity to learn is in seeing a different side to the people who would be the pirate threat to her home, Hollywood. Instead of a band of bloodthirsty, violent, thieving, predatory thugs, both Zachary and the citizens of Skyhaven show a more welcoming, accommodating, and cooperative spirit, at least to those that seem pirate, or at least not state militia. Even Charlie, in her inexperience, can't help but appreciate and admire the character of the people she meets when given the tour of their mountaintop home. In her zeal to defend her nation of Hollywood, Charlie Steele likely forgot, or was never prompted to imagine, what kind of society would be built by outlaws and pirates, everyone outside the governance of the nation-states that seceded from the former United States. Instead of coming together to prey on each other and whatever unfortunate soul they can get their hands on, the society presented in Skyhaven is not too different from any other community you might find, both real and in believable fiction. There's a population plying their varied trades under a kind of governance by an administration, as it were, represented by Regan, but who in turn answers to a kind of council that supposedly represents the interests of the residents in Skyhaven. Regan might presume to have the power of a one-man administration, but even he has to earn the support and satisfy the needs of the people through the council. It just so happens that while communities may coalesce around specific trades or industries, Skyhaven's happens to be based on aerial piracy, stealing from the airborne shipping in the skies of North America in order to make their living. And the Council of Air Pirates reflects this. What's unique to this short story is we get a point of view from characters outside the title character, Charlie Steele, and alternately get to see things from the perspectives of Nathan Zachary, and even a short dialogue from the Pirate Council. In how they react to the introduction of Charlie and company, we can make an educated guess as to their values and disposition. At first, they are generally suspicious of the newcomers, having never heard of their Blood Raven group before, but in accommodating them and keeping a watchful eye, they seem to try to sell themselves and their Skyhaven community as a place worth living in and working in. Not the anarchy that would be easy to ascribe to a pirate town, but a system where people can grow and flourish outside the confines of a nation-state. However, when the Blood Ravens are given the test to attack a vulnerable convoy of airships, staged for their benefit, they fail the test, refuse the attack, and despite the plausible deniability presented, they are essentially outed, not simply as not pirate, but also as straight-up state militia, to the clear despondence of the people that interacted with them. Harmony most poignantly. Upon discovery of their militia credentials, the varied characters have distinctly different reactions. Regan plays the vicious pirate leader ready to kill them painfully for spectacle, presumably to entertain the bloodthirsty masses, supposing, of course, he's not fearful of popular reprise for allowing a militia infiltration. Harmony, possibly representing the more common citizen, is despondent that her new friends aren't what she hoped them to be. And Nathan Zachary, pirate leader and ace pilot, having met Charlie before, won't abide a gruesome execution and works to let them fly free. In addition, when Harmony catches Nathan Zachary in the act, first she thinks he's a traitor, then even after being convinced otherwise, is furious over Charlie's intrusion, despite Zachary's insight that she wasn't bloodthirsty enough to want them to die. We can guess from the different interactions what drives the different characters. Nathan Zachary has the benefit of multiple stories to show that he's not inclined to kill when it can be avoided, and also values people over power and especially violence for its own sake. He's not at all broken up about Charlie escaping death by pirate, nor about pirate leader Regan losing power over the incident. He's free to fight and protect and save people as he sees fit. Regan, in contrast, is fully beholden to his power, holding office as a one-man, one-gang administration over Skyhaven, easily resorting to spilling blood for holding power and holding support from anyone abiding piracy as a bloodthirsty affair. I'm guessing he might fear what will become of him in the gang or in Skyhaven at large were he to fall from power. Harmony, however, shows us a more complex side to the drama. She saw Charlie and company as new friends to be had, but with the reveal of their militia origin, she then saw an existential threat that angered her. My best guess is that Harmony represents the people who remember being part of one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, but then having it all ruined by the split up of the states into ideological, insular, hostile states. While the regionalist political movements got their divided states of America, people like Harmony far more likely got split up from friends or family by new hostile borders. For people divided against their will by the new borders, Skyhaven then would seem like a real chance for those people to find each other again, even under a banner of aerial piracy. After all, the fact that they don't want to stay under the governance of nation-states, bickering over their own fictional greatness, would already make them closer to enemies of the state, and thus marginalized. But in Skyhaven, they have a chance to rebuild their lives and prey on the powers that uprooted their lives. As a pirate community, they don't have to abide the presumptions of states that assert their greatness, hollow as they can be. So an infiltration by a group of state militia fighters into their community would very well be taken as a threat, lest the infiltration become prelude to an attack. Charlie Steele might have had a chance to recognize this possible disposition if she had a chance to compare the Skyhaven citizens' experience with her own experience. To reach Skyhaven, she too had to cross hostile borders, the Navajo Nation most notably, in order to reach the pirates. She was on a mission with no hostile intent toward the American Indian nation, but she was treated with suspicion and seen as a reminder of the ill treatment the former United States visited on the indigenous nation, a persecution that they may still be fighting against, just under different names. Seemingly only a token from a friend, and likely their good word, spares Charlie from worse treatment. As a citizen of the nation of Hollywood and a member of the state air militia, Charlie Steele could very well have had the best intentions for forming her squadron and defending her nation and people from both rival states and pirates. Alas, in a kind of dramatic tragedy, she's essentially been co-opted into a system that violated an entire nation and its people via division, and now regional hostility, that her drive and will to defend innocent people just can't make up for. All the people that could be her friends, people like Nathan Zachary and Harmony, have been driven away by hostile borders, hostile states, and the wounds that came from it. To summarize, the menace from the mountain Charlie Steele faces is not simply pirates, it's the culture of division that destroyed an entire nation and helped create them.